Hi everyone, and welcome to the Code Corner. This is my first video and I hope you guys enjoy. So, here's a bit about me. So, I code a lot because for me it is very fun. I love playing basketball and soccer. It's a pretty good hobby of mine. I love science, especially astronomy, because space intrigues me a lot. And like I mentioned just now, this is my first YouTube video, and I really hope you guys enjoy learning just what I want to share with you guys. So, now, enough about me. What are we going to learn? So, first off, we are going to learn about HTML and CSS, which is the language of the web and how the website is laid out. So, HTML is really called hypertext markup language, and like I mentioned, it is the language of the web. So essentially, every web page you open is probably created by HTML. And just like HTML, CSS is also part of the web page, and it is how the website is laid out. So like fonts, colors, sizes of pictures, things just simple things like that is what makes up CSS. And in HTML, we're going to be learning just like basic structure. So if you see here, this is all HTML code, and you're probably wondering what those bracket things are, and that those are part of the structure and tags, and that's basically what makes up HTML. And there's the HTML tag, headers, bodies, things like that. And we're going to be learning attributes, what can go in those tags, containers to create sections for the web page, IDs and classes to like classify and define certain attributes and tags, and yeah, and etc. Because we're going to be learning a lot more. And CSS, we're going to be learning basic styling. So like if you see here, there's a tag called div, and the width of that tag is 350 pixels. So you're saying that section is 350 pixels big. And there's we're going to be doing text styling, like getting different fonts and like colors for the font and things like that. Box model, how the web page looks at things. Pseudo classes, so if you click on a certain thing, it could pop something up, or if you hover over something, then it could change colors, things like that. In our more advanced CSS classes, we're going to be learning animation as well. And here's a little example of it. It may look a bit confusing, but we will get the hang of it. JavaScript. JavaScript is very interesting because JavaScript creates interactive web pages for HTML, and it can control how the web page behaves. Like just like how I mentioned here, HTML is the language of the web. Uh, JavaScript controls how the web page behaves. So in JavaScript, we're going to be learning variables, if-else statements, if this does this, or else it does this. And functions, like if you want something to do something, time functions, as in intervals and setting timeouts, logic with math and numbers like rounding numbers and random numbers, events, jQuery, which can make your JavaScript a lot easier to read and easier to write. And we will also be creating games, and not just that, etc. So we're going to be learning a lot more things. A-frame. As you most people already know, VR is very popular, and with A-frame, it's a web framework to create VR experiences, and it is implemented with HTML and JavaScript. And in A-frame, we are going to be learning how to create 3D things, such as like primitive blocks like cubes, spheres, things like that, positioning, rotating, how to create textures, and if we're making games, we can have cursor-based interactions. And also, we're going to be learning how to implement JavaScript with it, and etc. And so, just like how we've gone through some decently intermediate and advanced coding languages, um, we can also go to beginner programming languages, and we can do that with Scratch. So Scratch is a blockly programming website for early coders that are very new to coding. So like you see here, this is an example of Scratch code, and basically everything here is a block, and under each block is actual code, like it could be JavaScript, and yeah. And in Scratch, we're going to be learning how to create motion, sounds, looks, variables, operators, also animating things, sensing, and we are also going to create beginner and advanced games to implement all that we've learned, and etc. And just like I said, so suggestions are going to be very helpful because that's not all we're going to learn. We could learn so much more stuff, PHP, SQL, and whatnot. And so yeah, so suggestions and comments would be very helpful. And if you like this video, liking, sharing, and even subscribing would be very appreciated. And that will keep this channel going. And thank you guys so much for watching. And like I mentioned before, um, just leave in the comments what other suggestions you have to make my channel better. That feedback is always appreciated. And thank you guys for watching.